It's day 3, where we're supposed to be leaving from Ceselli and making our way over the mountain to Spoleto. See all the way up there? Gotta go over that. 1,000 meters up, 1,000 meters down. But at the peak, there's a monastery. It's a beautiful monastery. It's worth the climb. What's really cool is we came to this little town called Piediluco, which was not in the plans because we were supposed to stay in Ceselli, but there wasn't any space. And this little town is absolutely gorgeous. It's small, and most of it you can only get around by foot. Last night, one of the ladies here showed us around. I just want to take you to one little cute spot that she took us to. First of all, you go through this little corridor here. It's so cool. It's full of these little alleyways. They're just so adorably cute. And when you come down here, they have a little pond which was used, they used to press olives here. So they had a mill here. And you got little ducks. This clear little pond, which is just so pretty. And she also told me that there's a tower at the top that's open. She said if you want you can go in and see what it's like. This is a tower, which apparently it's for sale. It's made up of 3 floors. I'm gonna check it out inside. Pretty cool. Could probably do something. Look at that fireplace. It's bigger than me. You got a roaring fire going in there, heat up the whole place. And here it's got like a loft attic area. And still, it goes higher. And higher. Time to start the walk. Here we go. We left Monteluco behind, that quaint little town, and up we go, all the way up there, and over, and down to Spoleto. Today would have been 16 kilometers, but since we went to Monteluco, we're only gonna have to do about 14 to get to Spoleto. So that was a nice little 2 kilometers that we cut off this one, which is good because this one's intense. It's going to be quite the climb. And then going down, for me, is almost worse than going up. When you got a heavy pack, it's hard on your knees to go downhill. I'd much rather go up, even though some people don't like that logic. It works for me. Typically in the summer, when it's hot, you can catch forest fires.
Are you happy? I don't know if he's angry or...
Well, you started it. You were like, "Ee-aw," and then now he's like, "You making fun of me?"
Oh my goodness.
Who's gonna pet him? Hey, man.
Don't bite my finger off. Good boy.
How long have we been climbing for?
It's 8 for 30 minutes now.
30 minutes? The peak still looks pretty far away.
Oh, dear.
Buongiorno. The regular road ends now. Now you're going to be going up. Pretty soon, stepping stones. In the days of St. Francis, most roads were gravel roads and mountain roads like this. To think that he would come up here dressed in sackcloth and wearing no shoes, barefooted, in the cold of winter too, to dwell among the caves with very little food to eat. Definitely mystic powers to keep a man alive in those conditions. Last night, we were staying right there. We've come this far, but still a ways to climb. All the way to the top. And as I was saying before, what would drive a man who was malnourished, wearing sackcloth, barefooted, in the cold, and many times he was alone, without his companions, to come all the way up here, and at that time was very dangerous. There was brigands, thieves, bandits in these woods. It was just a hostile time to be alive, with sickness, disease, and a very dark period on a spiritual level too. So he would come up here, recharge himself in these woods, and what the mystics would fall into, would seek, was ecstasy. They would go into ecstasy, where they were swept away into different dimensions, literally other worlds, in which they would experience pure bliss and love in its purest form. They felt no pain, no cold, no hunger. I guess it was being in the presence of God, being held close to his heart. And that's how they survived and how they lived up here. That's how they managed to live. But not only did they manage to live, that's what they lived for. They wanted no other thing than that. There was no other monetary gain or promise of riches. Only the chance at a better life in the next life, and a life of great significance in the current one. Something that I think most of the world could not understand. And still to this day, many struggle with it, myself included. But you keep trying, and the struggle with your faith and your beliefs goes on. Eternally learning. Never a dull day when you believe. Always something new to discover. This entire path is riddled with all sorts of herbs, and this is juniper berries, which grow on this plant here, a juniper plant. You can use these in roasts. It's a delightful smell, especially when it's wild. Not only you can find what I believe to be here is time, wild time. It's so pretty. The whole entire path is also full of these little pink flowers, which are called bucaneve. They're just all over, everywhere. Bucaneve means makes holes in the snow. See, when it snows, these here will sprout out from underneath a thin layer of snow. That makes for a pretty sight too. I don't know if you can hear it, but right now we're approaching a natural watermark just before we reach the peak. It's a little waterfall and a river that flows down. Now I drink the water. Other people might deem it unsafe, but I've never had issues. This water up here is so fresh, and I don't think there's any pollution in this particular area. And sacred forest, blessed by St. Francis. It's all good out here. I bet you Heidi's gonna be first.
We're all gonna do it, right?
Oh, Angelo's like a cat.
I got anointed last time.
He doesn't like water.
What?
Yeah, you gotta kind of be careful. Place your foot maybe on that rock there. There you go.
Stick my head on the rock.
Yeah. Nice. Drying your hair off? That's pretty metal. Let me get some of this water. That tastes better than any water I've had so far on the trail.
No, don't drink the water, guys.
Who wants to try?
I do. I actually want to try it.
I think it's the best water I've tasted so far on the trail.
I think you should fill up your camel pocket. Oh my god.
Oh my god, dear poo poo.
That was poo.
Never knew animal poop could taste so good.
No, that's really good.
It's soft
You're right.
and crunchy at the same time. Takes earthy notes.
It's better than the tap water.
I think so.
Yeah.
I like it.
Agreed.
It's so fresh. Stout desire
And cold.
to partake.
I'm drinking the poo poo.
It's super fresh, man. Just put a little in your mouth. You can spit it out if you want.
You're crazy.
Not bad. Now all four of us in 5 minutes have explosive diarrhea.
Divide the toilet paper now. Nah, I've had it before. No such thing happened to me. I mean, then we'll see, I guess. Yeah. Nikki all of a sudden is like, I need to stop because my shoe is bothering me. It's like, yeah. All right. Ready to go?
Yeah.
The forested area behind. And now 2.5 kilometers from Monteluco, which is where the monastery is at, and 5.5 from Spoleto, which is where we're staying tonight. It's a beautiful sky. Look at that. Amazing. Did you ever hear the joke that there's the monastery and all these friars that live there, and it's a monastery of silence, that only every 10 years they're allowed to speak, and only one of them can speak and say one thing every 10 years. So 10 years they're there digging and toiling and gardening and building the monastery, and after 10 years one of the monks gets up and goes, I really like the way we cook the stew and the way we combine it with the mashed potatoes, it's excellent. And then another 10 years go by of toiling and gardening and building, and another monk steps up and he's like, I hate the mashed potatoes and the stew. And then quiet again. Another 10 years go by and one of the oldest friars gets up and he's like, I'm so sick of all this arguing. So I'll tell you the story behind this. It was in the 300 years before Christ. At the time, people were pagans and they would sacrifice animals, possibly people, and have pagan rituals in this forest. So the locals reported, the mountain dwellers reported that it was haunted and plagued with evil spirits and darkness. So when St. Francis and his followers came to this forest, they would walk among the forest and bless it and cleanse it, and they changed it. Now it's a place of peace, quiet, and refuge to whoever comes here. And up in this forest and monastery, the monastery was built 400 years after St. Francis came here, because he came here in the 1200s and the monastery was built in the 1600s. But a lot of famous people, I think one pope came to dwell here for a while. There's a couple great artists, and one of those was Michelangelo. In his 80s, he came up here to rest and take refuge from his work in Rome.
Is there like a place to stay here?
Yeah, you can stay in the monastery. They'll take you in. There's to this day friars who tend to the forest and to the area and take care of the place. But if you listen, it's just silence. Now entering into the monastery, which is under repairs, which is kind of a shame because it takes away a little bit of the beauty, but the place was a little bit run down, needs repairs. There we go. That's a fresco of St. Francis. This part is very interesting here. This is the primitive one that was built in 1218. It's like simple. And I guess for lack of material, they built them very small. I mean, if you stand by this door, you'll see how large.
How large I
either
am.
they were either they were very small, or they just built it this way to save space. Then this is kind of a reproduction of how they were living. It's pretty neat. I feel tiny. I mean, I feel big actually compared to this tiny little room. Built about more than 800 years ago. Still standing.
It's the same prayer of St. Francis.
The prayer of St. Francis, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Here is the shrine where he used to pray. And the sign down there says, on this rock, St. Francis abandoned himself to God. So we only got our second stamp because in Ceselli the church was closed and nobody had stamps where we were staying. But this one's really cute.
We can make our own stamp.
Right? There's Spoleto with the great castle at the very peak the city behind that, and it's a phenomenal bridge. This is one of the many city gates. We gotta walk all the way up to the top. This is what the cathedral looks from the back. So the castle is up there. So that's the rock of the whole city, is the castle, the fortress. And then the city just goes and extends its way all the way down to there. Of course, this was the old town, the first original, and as it extends down, that's more modern and newer. But what a view. This concludes day 3 of the walk. Angelo and Kea will be leaving us. Thanks for joining. Mom and Dad came to pick them up with this little guy. Hello. We'll see you guys all in the next episode, next part of walk. Ciao.